Morning all. Well, today is the day of flow coat. As you can see, got the old palm sander out and been over everything to knock off all the lumps and bumps and get rid of all the old little hairy bits. That's been sanded all out, ready for flow coating. Oh, I'm relieved to finally get this done. But it had to be done. Took it to a boat yard that cost a fortune. I think the old chap spent about 2.25 grand on materials, so how much would that been in a boat yard to get it done? But it is looking nice. Now time for flow coat. Well, there's a few questions you got to decide on when you flow coat a floor. Because obviously we want all the decks covered in sand. If you do the whole lot at once and chuck sand around, you'll get sand in your bottom of your well, so when you scrub it out, that don't clean up as well. So I don't really want to do that. So what I've decided, I'm going to do the well first, let that go off, then I'm going to do the deck. There might be a little bit of a tide mark along the edges where that join, but you don't want sand in the bottom of the well. That's never going to flow and clean out nicely, is it? So I decided I'm going to have to do the well first, let that dry, and then I can do the decks, chuck sand around willy-nilly, and that doesn't matter because it won't stick in the well, will it? Because it'll all be dry. I'm just now going to get some acetone and wash the well out. Well, I flow coated all the middle sections out. I left it a couple of hours to dry because obviously I'll walk up and down the well so I can flow coat the sides of the deck. I flow coated that and left it a couple of hours. I just got to rub the edges down so when I overlap slightly with the gel coat on the deck, but it's a bit of a compromise. I'd never be able to do the whole lot in one go and get out the boat and work in the boat and all the other stuff, so just left it a couple of hours. I'm just going to rub down the edges so when I overlap it, that adhere. So obviously key it up a bit and take some of the wax off the top of the flow coat. Well, I'll just now rub down all the edges of the top coat or flow coat what's in the well, just 1/2 inch the edge, and acetoned it just so that'll key to it when I lay up on it. And obviously you can see around the outside I'll put the old masking tape around it, so I'll mast up to it, peel it off and chuck some sand on it and then peel it off, and that'll give us 1 inch around the outside. And then we'll put the tape in the opposite orientation and paint it all white, so we'll have I think it's about 38mm wide, that insulation masking tape, so we'll have a white line all around the hull and then a grey deck. Make it look a bit tidy, doesn't it? Well, this is the final day for me anyway, but it's looking alright. Well, I just started rolling the flow coat out. You see that side's all done, and now just sprinkle some sand on it. That looked too good to sprinkle sand on, didn't it? Just get a little trowel and sprinkling the old sand about. What doesn't stick will just brush off when it's done. But yeah, sand, no sand. I'm just letting it go off for 10 minutes, and then I'll pull up the masking tape, because you leave it not long enough in that run, and too long that'll shatter. But yeah, that's that all rolled out and the sand put on. Well, it's got all this tape pulled up now. Alright, some of the sand has gone the other side of the tape, that doesn't matter. But you see there's still a nice square edge we've got all the way along. So give it tomorrow, the old man can hoover or brush all the sand off, put the tape on top of the sand, and then do exactly the same with the white. So we'll have a white band around the grey deck. Obviously that's covered in sand now, but most of this will 3/4 this will brush off at least. I'll just put plenty on, so you can't, once it's gone off you can't add more. You can only add more when it's wet, so I always put plenty on. Just a sprinkle over the lot. Just use a little trowel. That's getting there. I've got to admit, this flow coat in this well stand on it with the sand, that's slippery as hell. You can tell that's wax, got a wax additive in it. It's like dancing on ice. Well, I mixed up 3 kilos of flow coat and I've done all one side and say 3 foot the other side. I'll put the sand on it and I've pulled up the tape and I'll leave that to dry, because I can only get out one side of the boat. Obviously that side of the boat is against the concrete wall, so that's only the wall next to the garage I can get out of. So if I let that dry there, I can lay this or roll out the resin flow coat for the floor, walk up and down the well, put the sand on it, and then be able to stand on that bit of floor to get out. Well, the old chap's now making a cup of tea, so perfect timing. I can let that bit dry there while I drink a cup of tea. Well, that's now the other side all rolled out and sanded. Tape's peeled off, so you got the edge. That would have been easier to really put the other tape down, do the white and then do the deck second, but there's only so much time I got, and when I'm not here the old chap can get on, so you might have to get a paintbrush and cut in a bit, depending how well the masking tape stick to that sand. But most of that sand will hoover off anyway. There's only like a slight surface what will stick. But I'm happy with how it's gone. Just got to put the checker plate down the centre of the boat and it's all done. And obviously just, I think he's going to coat all this, obviously do the, cover all that with flow coat. I think he's going to give the sides a coat as well, give it a birthday. Obviously do the front bulkhead. But that's virtually done. Result.